conversation. I'm your host, Ye, Pastor Ye, and then not Craig tonight because he had to make it a late meeting, and I don't think he's even gotten home yet.
I don't think he wants to do this anymore.
I don't think he does. No, I'm just kidding. He does. We want to thank Craig for always being weird and, and lovable. And no, he's not even doing those things. I'm so sorry. Just kidding. Tuning us in right now. Okay, so as you know, we have a tropical storm Nicole coming.
That's such a
I know.
basic name.
Nicole. If your name is Nicole, please comment and
like, and subscribe.
and make sure. Did I mute this? Am I still go? Am my level still going?
Yeah, you good.
Okay, cool. Welcome everybody. We want to tell you about a few things, awesome things coming up. We do have a Christmas party coming up December 10th. It's going to be a Christmas party, but also a volunteer appreciation for all of our volunteers. So if you're a volunteer, not even a volunteer, you can come, and we're going to have a Christmas party, trivia, fun and games, prizes,
Christmas music,
barbecue
chicken. No,
barbecue.
That last one might be a lie.
That might be a lie. But we are going to have a lot of stuff. December 10th, but it's a Saturday. It's going to be here at our Indrio campus. But also, we have December 17th is our cookie walk. I know what you might think what that is putting a cookie.
No, we don't get to eat cookies.
And it's also not a cookie on a leash, a dog leash, and dragging it around.
I doubt anybody was thinking that.
I did. But I thought. You drag a cookie around on a leash, and you talk to it like it's real. That would be fun. That would be fun. That would be actually really a lot of fun. Here, boy. Here. Give me your chocolate chip. Why is it not moving? Call the ambulance. Ambulance comes, does CPR on him. Oh gosh. Okay.
Do we call the vet or do we call the bakery? I don't know.
You know what? Somebody should open a vet bakery. Might be something. Nope. So anyways, we do have those things coming up. December 17th is our cookie walk. You want to know more about that? Make sure you call the Crossing, and they'll let you know what it is. Because I'm still discovering what it is. I don't want to give you the wrong information. Also, shout out to my daughter Lucy, who made dinner tonight. But I have to be with you people right now, and I can't eat it. There's only going to be leftovers when I get home. But
be all right.
It's okay.
What is she cooking?
She cooked white rice with chicken, some mushrooms.
Did she season it?
I think she seasoned it, and she made
not salt and pepper. I'm talking about like actual.
I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of that. But she also made little fruit cup. You know the thing with the whipped cream and it was like a little donut, but it's not a donut.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. Fruit cup. It sounds like a fruit cup or something like that with whipped cream. Anyways, if you guys, hello, Crystal. Hello. How are you?
Hello.
And so that's happening. So, but tonight, it'll just be Brian and I. Craig should be back next week. Hopefully, because we can't do this on our own. So, oh God.
Come on, Joey.
Sorry.
Speaking
of oh God, we thank you so much for Cookie Walk, and we know we're figuring it out, but we're not going to walk cookies around. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so we have actually for our icebreaker game. Brian, why don't you describe the game?
It's very simple. I'm just gonna give Jay a brain teaser, and he's gonna try to see if he can guess the answer.
I like how
multiple choice.
Well, because you come up with a game, I guess that's the reason why. So my brain is big. It's abnormally big. My IQ is like 7,000.
I don't think your brain is big. It might just be your head, but
the brain tissue, my head's fat. Pretty much. I think I have big brain. And Sherry Lynn is watching too. Hi, Sherry Lynn.
Hello. Welcome.
Welcome. So, brain teasers. So if you want to help me in chat, can they help me? People in chat?
Can help you.
Okay, people in chat, you can help me. If you're listening to this on a podcast, obviously pre-recorded, you can't help me. If you're listening to the car, speak to yourself.
You can guess along with us.
You can guess along with it. But people in chat right now, just go ahead and help me out with these brain teasers. All right. So how many brain teasers are there?
Ooh, there's 10.
10?
We may not get through all of them, but there's 10 just in case.
Yes, I feel like I'm working right now.
I'm
Okay.
not working that hard.
No.
You ready for the first one?
Ready.
All right. So,
Mm-hmm.
how can you throw a ball as hard as you can and have it come back to you, even if it doesn't bounce off anything? There's nothing attached to it, and no one else catches or throws it back to you.
Wait, so I throw a ball and there's nothing that bounces against anything
There's nothing
or
that bounces
string,
off,
but it comes
no-
back to me.
Yeah,
And I have to throw it. I throw it.
yeah.
Okay, so I throw the ball
You throw the ball,
and it comes back to me, but how?
it comes back to you. But how? Think about it.
Oh, I'm laying down on the ground.
No.
But that's true, though. That's an answer, isn't it?
But that's not the answer.
What?
No, that's not the answer.
That's what happens. You lay on the ground, you throw it, and it comes back to you.
Okay.
But that's not the answer
But
you're
what are
looking
you doing? Wait, laying on the ground.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
What am
What
I
direction are you throwing the ball?
up?
Okay.
Yeah,
But how is it coming back to you?
gravity.
You threw it up into the
Sky.
another word for sky. Another word for oxygen.
No, air.
Okay. So you throw the ball up in the air. That's the answer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you really have to use the word air? I said sky.
Yeah.
Okay. So did anybody else get that? Oh, Sherry Lynn said run.
No.
Okay. You must be really fast. What am I, the Flash? Got it. Man, Sherry Lynn's just quick. All right, next brain teaser. I got that one pretty much.
Yeah.
I
pretty much.
use gravity to my advantage.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So next one.
Okay.
What occurs once in every minute, twice in every moment, yet never in 1,000 years?
What occurs
Once in every minute, twice in every moment, yet never in 1,000 years.
It's a number, isn't it? It's a number. No, because occurs once in every minute.
Twice in every moment, yet never in 1,000 years.
I need help with this one.
It's not a number.
It's not a number. Once every minute,
Mhm.
and
Think of everything I've said in that sentence.
okay, say it again.
What occurs once in every minute, twice in every moment, yet never in 1,000 years?
You speaking? No. You said moment. Occurs. You said occurs. Who curs? Occur.
No.
Anybody online? What occurs?
Think of the words in the sentence.
Okay.
What occurs once in every minute, twice in every moment, yet never in 1,000 years?
M. Yes. The letter M. The letter M. Who got
Took 'em
it?
long enough. But
Guys. Okay, got it. I got it.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Got it.
All right. What flies without wings?
What flies? Superman.
Metaphorically.
Helicopter.
No.
Well, that's true. Doesn't have wings. See, I'm
Helicopter.
What? Helicopter.
Mm-mm.
So listen.
Mm-mm.
What flies without wings?
Yeah.
Dead. A fly without wings is dead.
No.
That's a wordplay, isn't though? Isn't
It is, but it's not it.
Dang.
What flies without wings? Think of like things that you say that has the word flies in it.
Zipper. Fly. Flies? What has
Blank flies.
blank flies?
Mm-hmm.
Fruit flies.
No. It's not an animal or an
Oh.
insect.
Horsefly.
No. I said it's not an animal
Or an insect. Okay. House fly.
No.
Oh, wait. Dang it. Wait, say it again. What? It's not an insect or an animal?
What flies without wings?
What flies without wings?
Yeah, let me know when you give up.
Michael Jordan. Words?
No.
Oh, okay, sure. That was a good one, though. What flies without wings?
Mm-hmm. Let me know when you give up.
Dragons have flies. I don't know. What is it?
Time.
Time flies. Can I be honest? A helicopter also flies without wings.
And so does Superman.
So does
That's not
Superman.
it. That's
These
not the
are
answer.
very open.
That's not the answer.
Open to, you know.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right, so where will you find roads without vehicles, forests without trees, and cities without houses? Where will you find roads without vehicles,
Okay.
forests without trees, and cities without houses?
Cities without houses?
Yeah, like a house without houses.
The moon.
Nope.
But that's an answer.
Stop.
Okay, so roads without. I mean, roads without vehicles,
forests
without
without trees,
trees.
and cities without houses.
Where would you find?
Yeah, where would you find all that?
Where would I find all that?
Without vehicles, without trees, without houses.
Our mind.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
It's something on your phone.
Apps.
It's an app. I'll give you that.
Oh, Google Maps. Apple Maps.
A map.
A map. Okay.
You ready for
A
the next one?
map. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully you get this one, please.
Okay.
What are two things you cannot eat for supper?
What's
What
that?
are two things you cannot
Eat for supper. Breakfast and lunch.
Bam.
Got it.
How do you? This next one's gonna be hard though.
Ah, dang it.
What word looks the same upside down and backwards?
Lion.
Nope.
No. Upside down?
And backwards.
What word?
Yep.
It's not a word, is it?
It is a word.
It is a word.
Yep. Upside down and backwards. Yep. So you would take this word and you would flip it upside down and then flip it backwards.
It'll
And
be
it would
this.
be the same word.
What?
Yep.
Mirror.
Nope.
No, that'd be we were. Um. Okay, so you could flip it upside down and then, and it'll be the same.
Mhm.
I don't know. What is it? I give up. That's too much.
Swims.
What?
Swims.
Swims?
Swims. SWIMS. You flip it upside down. You flip it backwards. It's
Swims.
SWIMS.
I would have never guessed that ever in a million years.
How do you?
Why?
I don't know.
You shouldn't be.
Oh,
Okay.
you ready?
Mm-hmm.
What five-letter word becomes shorter when you add two letters to it?
What five-letter word becomes
Becomes
shorter?
when you add two letters to it.
What five-letter word?
Becomes shorter when you add two letters to it.
These are tough.
What five-letter word becomes shorter
Mhm.
when you add two letters to it? What five-letter word becomes shorter
I know. I got it.
when you add two letters to it?
What is it? Does anybody have it?
It's a word.
It's a word.
It is a word.
What five-letter word gets shorter when you add two letters to it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the actual size of it. You're talking about the size of the word itself.
No,
Oh.
actually, I'm not. No, the word actually gets longer.
What? I don't know. What is it?
How do you not know?
Everybody, what is? Wait, short.
That's the answer.
Oh, you got it. Thank you, Sherry Lynn.
Yep.
So
Short.
wait, five-letter word when you add two letters to it?
ER.
What?
Yeah, because you have short and then shorter.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Gosh, my brain hurts so much.
Next time, if we're on the podcast again, I'll let you do everything.
I would love to hear Craig do these.
Oh yeah,
next time.
that's what I planned them for. But
Right.
you know.
I feel like he would go way out there. even
Oh yeah,
more
for
than-
sure.
It's not a word, is it? Okay, thank you, Sherry Lynn, for that one. For
All right.
the short, she
We
got
got
it
two
right.
more. Two more.
Two more.
Two more. It's good. We're
All day.
Good on time.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Ready.
A boy was rushed to the hospital emergency room.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
The ER doctor saw the boy and said, "I cannot operate on this boy. He is my son." But the doctor was not the boy's father. How could that be?
Oh, Brian from The Office already said this. Remember when Dwight was trying to get him to, but what was the answer? I can't remember. It's
A boy was rushed to the hospital
Hospital.
emergency room.
Yeah.
The ER doctor saw this boy and said, "I cannot operate on this boy. He is my son."
yeah.
But the doctor was not the boy's father. How could that be?
It's his stepfather.
No.
What was the answer? I cannot. Um, not this boy's father. Shoot, what did Ryan say? Can't remember.
You're overthinking this. Very bad.
I know, but I'm trying to remember what he said.
No, don't remember what he said. Just save the answer.
Okay, so say it again. So one of the boys rushed to the hospital. The doctor
Yeah.
says,
The doctor said, "I cannot operate on this boy. He is my son." But the doctor was not the boy's father. How could that be?
"Oh, it was his mother."
Yes.
Got it. That's right.
Not hard, man.
That's right. I did.
Shit.
I overthought that one. His mother. Thank you, Nancy. Yes, Nancy and I got that at the same time. So thank you, Nancy. She typed it literally after I saw it. Thinking, go. It was his mother.
Hey, you ready for the last one?
Ready? Okay, everybody, help me out with this.
Could be easy, could be hard. All right?
Okay. All right.
What can you keep but cannot share? And once you share it, you cannot keep it anymore.
Say it again.
What can you keep but cannot share? And once you share it, you can't keep it anymore.
Gossip.
No.
Rumor. What's another word for rumor?
Not another word for rumor. What? Like,
Your thoughts.
mm,
A secret.
ah.
Thank you, Nancy. She told me.
Nancy, where did you come from?
Yes. Wow, that was good. Okay, a secret.
Mhm.
You know, secrets.
I got one more for you off the top of my head.
Okay.
You ready?
Everybody help me out with this.
One more.
Okay.
What?
Oh, you're remembering it from.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
What was the tallest mountain before Mount Everest?
What was the tallest mountain?
Before Mount Everest.
Mount Everest. Because avalanches. Everybody was like, no, it was too easy. Well, everybody, that was our brain teasers. We're going to appreciate that. Sherry Lynn, thank you so much. And Nancy, thank you guys so much for helping me out because my brain is shutting down slowly, very slowly. And
Slowly but surely.
don't call me Shirley. But yes,
Shirley.
Pastor Craig talked just F it, but the F stands for faith, right?
It does stand for faith. And let me put this out there.
Yeah.
Now, he came up with the F stands for faith. He said that. He keeps blaming it on me. I don't know why,
Right.
but it was him.
And I think that was good because it's good that you had F stands for faith because people, it might make people feel a little weird, you know, if you just saw just F it and there's no
disclaimer.
there's no nothing.
Is he gonna make one people watch it more,
Or the opposite. Like, I'm never going to come to this church again. We don't want that. But so, yeah, it's just F it, and F stands for faith. So just faith it. And, you know, Pastor Craig in his sermon was really awesome about how faith actually works and how, what are we doing when we don't have faith? But faith will act, with us and for us when we believe faith. What's your favorite Bible story about faith when you come to your mind?
Ooh. Off the top,
Yeah,
probably David and Goliath.
David and Goliath.
Yeah,
There's some faith there,
there is.
but he also had to. Well, he had to believe that he could beat him, but he believed he could beat him.
He had to have faith.
He had to have faith he could. That faith was almost, is it, because some people might see it as like pride, but it's really not. When you have like, you know what, I believe that I can conquer this thing in my life, you have to have faith that you can do it. And everybody, no matter how like tough you are, whatever's going on, everybody has that little bit of, oh my gosh, but what if this happens? David must have had that. I mean, what would you do if you were going against Goliath?
Run. I'm out. Not for giant. Excuse me. No, I'm out. Goodbye. Can't catch me.
It's a good thing that Brian was not David.
It's a very good thing.
And Brian, has God chosen you? Nah. I'm out. Goliath's like, where's your champion?
He's sitting at home eating grapes. Somebody's failing him, I think.
But David did have extreme faith, and it's true. But that was where he had to put into the works into faith. Because if he just had faith that, okay, Goliath is just going to fall dead, it's a good point. He didn't. He didn't say, well, by faith, I know that Goliath is just going to fall dead right in front of me. He had to put into work.
And it's crazy because when Craig did the sermon on action, it basically was like, to me, what I got there was one sermon where he talked about like putting faith into action.
Right.
And that's what like the story. That's what I get from the story of David, because he had faith,
right,
and then he acted upon that faith, and
right,
yeah.
And that's true. And it's also, so all these things in the Bible, faith without works is dead. Mm-hmm. So there has to have some people think like, well, if I just believe by faith that this will happen, but you still have to put in the work. You have to work at it, which is one of my favorite stories is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The reason being is because not only do you see sometimes the story with people who are collectively, like you hear of one person, like, David, you felt like he was on his own. You have people like, Jonah, who was in the whale, and he was like, oh, wow. Noah, he had his wife and his sons, but really he felt alone. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were friends, and they had to experience this all together. And it's so impossible for three friends, three buddies to be on the same page, first off. You're all going to have differences,
For sure.
You're not, if you go on a road trip with your three buddies, right? So let's say it's you, me, and Kai, our drummer, right? We're going on a road trip, right? And we get to this place, and you, me, and Kai, or let's say Craig. Let's just use Craig because that's perfect. Like, we love you, Kai, but you, me, and Craig, we're traveling, and we get off a 95 exit, and we hit this city, right? We get out, right? And there's this thing. Somebody says, "Hey, by the way, welcome to this city. Every time music plays, you have to bow down to this idol." Well, collectively, I think because of who we are as a people, we're like, no, we ain't gonna do that, right?
I would laugh.
You would laugh.
Genuinely.
You gotta bow down and sing, ha, ha, ha. Nah.
I'm gonna go buy a Snickers.
Y'all got Snickers here? So imagine we go and they tell us this. We're on the same page, but we're all gonna have opinions of, because Craig, obviously he's a little older in his life. Mm-hmm. Okay. The punishment is you get thrown in the furnace. Well, I have a wife and a daughter and a baby on the way. I'm like, well, I'd rather not die, but I'll have that faith. But you kind of like, you're also younger, and you're like, I'm liking how things are going with my life now. So we all have different opinions, but the constant thing is that we need to have faith. And that's where so the faith and the actions that they were saying was like, okay, all right, so we're not going to bow, right? That's ridiculous. That's stupid. We're not going to do that. They're held accountable with each other, but they ended up not doing it together. There wasn't one person that said, Shadrach being like, oh, no, I'm going to do it. You guys, I don't know what you're thinking, but they did it together, which is more of sometimes of a testimony because you're going to have differences of opinion, but where they did it together, they had faith. And the faith that God ended up, in the end, when they were thrown in the furnace, that God was with them. He says, hey, what's up? How you doing?
That would freak me out.
Okay, we're in a fire.
We're in a fire and a whole other dude appears.
No, forget that.
No.
That's out the window. I'm believing that. But in a fire, like we're in a fire and we're not being burned. But just the ropes on our hands. I'm already going like, cool. Wow, this is interesting. Or did they go in there going, you know what I mean? Like,
thugging it up?
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how those NFL players go like Marquise Williams, Ohio State, Do they just
Shadrach.
Shadrach, tight end, Mississippi?
Shadrach, youngest of the group.
Did they just go in there going like, "Oh, we good. I'm gonna die. We're good," or is that faith, or is faith going like, scream? They're not screaming. They're probably just having faith and doing that. But then you're right. God shows up. It's like that would be kind of strange as well. Like we're like, "Yo, God's good. We're not burning. Hey, God, whoa, hey."
Hey, man, I didn't.
I'm sorry for everything I've ever done. And what
forgive me?
What do you talk about in there? Because it was on for, the Bible doesn't record, but it was long enough for the king to step forward and realize it's probably around like 3 minutes, maybe.
Possible.
3 minutes.
You're talking about for 3 minutes. Well, one, you're not burning, so you're like,
Right.
you're like, to me, I'd be coming up with like all different types of like reasonings. and,
Sure.
like, I don't know. Like,
Right. But my thing is, I get very hot really quick. Like in bed. I need the temp like down.
did they sweat?
Did they sweat?
Did they sweat?
Like okay, I'm glad I'm not dying, but I'm perspiring. Oh my God.
we ain't got deodorant in this time zone, so like,
Don't use that spray deodorant. Oh, that's right. We're in fire. Sorry. No, but that's the thing. So like, they're in there. What are they talking about? Like, I want to know that conversation of what they were talking about with God.
that's a question we'll have to ask when we get raptured.
Yeah, when we get there, when we get to heaven. It's also like, is God kind of like, when you're at a party
Mhm.
and you see that friend you haven't seen for in a long time, like, oh my gosh, what's up, man? Oh my, how you doing? Doing good, doing great, awesome. I gotta get going, but dude, it's great to see you. Was it like that? Because it had to have been. I couldn't have a full conversation. Anyways, but that's faith. That's faith saying that God then stepped in the gap and said, well, here you go. Like same on David. Of course, he threw a sling, he threw a rock, but God gave him the strength to do that. And I'm curious if you're watching right now or you're listening to the podcast, what's your favorite story on faith? And would you have that same extreme faith that they had? And I have to be honest, like if we were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, it'd be kind of easier if Craig was with us and you were with me, like, all right, so we ain't gonna bow, right? We're done. We're good. Or would it be harder if you're David and you're on your own and you have to have that faith of not bumping heads with somebody else? You're just, actually, technically, David with his brothers didn't want him to do it. And the king was like, oh, who are you?
Still, you know how like much faith you have to throw a pebble
Yeah,
at somebody?
like a rock. Yeah.
Like, and expect for it to knock a 9-foot tall gentleman down?
That's where, like, this is where it comes in. He was accurate. David was amazing. Like, he knew he was good.
Yeah.
He knew because he practiced. But he practiced, and I think there's a bigger thing with he practiced his faith. He practiced that he could do it. The bears and the wolves that came around and the lions, he fended them away from the sheep. He didn't just have a cane pushing him away like, hey, get away. He literally, either, ran up to him, was able to knock them, was able to use some sort of tool like he did a sling, and he did it. But he practiced. So I think in practicing our faith really means not always having God just, are you going to do this for me?
Mm-hmm.
Now, God did step in the gap with those areas of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So taking these two stories, you have the one where David was extreme faith. He did all this. He threw and then Goliath fell down. He wasn't even dead. He had to cut his head off. But now we're talking about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who didn't. They're like, we're just going to obey God. We're not going to do this. That's faith that God would bring him through that. God brought him through it because he literally didn't let them die in the fire. And I think that depending on your life, sometimes it may feel like I have no control. I feel like I'm trying everything in my power to be a good person, and I feel like I'm trying to have faith. But like, is God going to show up for me? And of course God does, but the works is you just, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you just have to keep at it saying, these are my morals. This is what's going to happen. I love God, and I know everything's going to be okay. And that's just what it is. And then God will reveal and say, listen, you've brought yourself to this point, and here I'm here for you. I've always been here for you. It's not like God was just there with them in the fire. But then there's people who feel like David. God said you have that faith where you're doing this work and you run straight, and God commands you to do this, and you do it that way. Sometimes which one would you say you're more like? David in that faith or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? in your life right now?
In my life right now,
Yeah.
um,
Is the camera on you?
huh?
Is the camera on you?
Oh,
I want to make sure they can see your face.
no, they don't need to see my face. Nothing to look at. Um, no, I probably have to say the three homies for sure. Um, because I don't think I just see myself just like beefing up and going out there and throwing a pebble at somebody and
Right.
expecting for or like that's a really that you gotta have some like really big faith
Mm-hmm.
to do that.
Right.
But I feel like just to naturally just say like nah, I'm not gonna do something. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
you know the kind of faith I'm on right now. Because it's more it's almost like it's not baby faith and it's not extreme faith. It's
Right.
like in the middle. It's like you know that if you do this thing, you're gonna be rewarded for it.
Right.
So it's like if you have that faith that like the thing's not gonna happen to you. But my thing is like I have a question for you,
Oh, I like it.
and how do you know like so I've always wanted to ask this question as far as like what's the difference between like natural faith
Mm.
and fake faith?
Ooh.
Because the only reason why I'm asking is because like when you read it's almost like when you feel I guess condemned
Mm-hmm.
or something you're reading your Bible and it's talking about faith and it's telling you to believe and then they're like oh my gosh I have to go do this thing now
Right.
and I have to have faith
Right.
like you have to do it in order to get to that next step with God
Right.
It's almost like a feeling of like you have to like if you don't do this thing your whole life is gonna go to shambles
Right.
right where to natural faith it just comes natural
Mhm.
like as far as like oh God I trust that you'll do this like
Right.
it just comes natural but how do you have that
That's a good question. And I'm going to read your comment in a second there, Mike. So, and this is a good. So the way because nobody really has a definitive answer, but the way I see it as, let's take it back to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego again, just because it's a great story. Let's say they had fake faith. That means that maybe they didn't bow, right? I'm not saying they had fake faith. I'm saying let's pretend like they did. The whole time they'd be questioning each other, or one person would be trying to question, okay, I'm not doing it, but you sure God's going to show up, right? It's in the fruits and the labors of what we say and what we do. So God knows us through and through. And I feel like a lot of people say certain things and do certain things, but the fruits in their life don't show that. So, meaning, now taking it to David. Now, David was skilled. But let's say he didn't practice every day. And David says, well, I have faith, but now where is his morals? Is it because he wants to be seen and because he wants to be the hero? Or is it because that's what God's telling him to do? This is why I think with faith, a lot of people feel, even myself, I used to think like, well, I'll be a good person and I'm going to have faith. God's going to take my life in the direction I need to. But then I realized that people took advantage of me.
mm-hmm.
Not only that, but I took advantage of thinking I was a good person just by going to church and being in church.
Yeah.
My thing was that I didn't see extreme faith until I took action for myself to have accountability with myself, but then to push forward to be better than I am right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like fake faith is wanting God just to do everything for us. I feel like, and let's say, again, taking the David. So let's say he just wants to be a hero. In his mind, he won't tell anybody. Let's say he doesn't tell anybody. This is where it says God in the renewing of your mind that, and he's like, oh, God's telling me to. Well, God's telling you to? Yes. Let's say he sells it, right? He sells it to him. But in his mind going, yeah, I'm going to beat him and then I'm going to be the king of the land. I want to be the king of the land. That's really what I want. His thought process was already proceeding. Let's say he was. We're not saying David was like that, but if he was in fake faith, then he would already be thinking, yeah, because it's going to be about me, because I want to do this. It's going to be. Now what he's doing is, if he would have go against Goliath, does he have that faith with him, or did he pretend all along? And that's where a lot of people then, even for myself, I was like, well, I'm a good person. Why is this stuff happen? Why is faith not showing up for me? Is because I was doing it for the reasons of myself and not knowing that I was doing fake faith. That's a good sermon series. Fake faith. And it's like, oh, wow. I think I really need to check my morals and within myself, This is why, things in my life, which I've talked to you, things in my life where a lot of people said, listen, you should. I'm like, God is just telling me to do this. That's all I know. And that's all I know to do. And I know that He's commanded me to do this, and I have faith that He's going to do what He says. It's not to glorify myself. In no way was it glorifying myself or what I did. It was that God was glorified in what happened. And I think a lot of times we want to be glorified in that moment with God. And that's I think where it determines the fake faith. And this is why I think maybe you're discovered a little bit faster. And like, let's say I had fake faith. If you, me, and Craig were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the person that is lacking faith will always be shown first, because no matter in our human nature, we're going to be like, guys, what if we are actually thrown into a fire? What if that actually happens?
They're going to be the first people to doubt.
That's the thing. Yeah. And that's just human nature. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's not saying that anybody's worse than somebody else. I'm saying if I was in that and I had that in my life many times before, that probably would have been me. I would have been like, yeah, I was a person cheering with everybody. But then when it came down to myself, I'm like, but wait a minute, what has happened? Like, what's going to happen to me? Mm-hmm. So, and that's kind of in the details of the fruits of people, and kind of, that's kind of how I see as fake faith. And I think you said, what is it being called? Natural faith? What'd you say?
Normal faith.
Normal faith. And I think natural faith.
Yeah.
And I think that's what natural faith is saying. Wow, God's told me this, and I'm just going to stick to it. And it's almost like you don't, the whole thing with David was, I feel like everybody thought like, wow, what an epic story. But I think he just wanted to stand for God. He didn't really want to be seen. He didn't want to be like, hey, I'm better than my brothers. Or anything. He's just like, this is what God's commanded me to do, and I'm going to fight. He's told me to fight. Yeah. And I think that's natural faith. If you're trying to push too hard to be something that you're not, or something that you think you've perceived God to say, I would check yourself. I mean, I have to check myself all the time. Just because I hear of a vision for the Crossing Community Church doesn't always mean, maybe it's my ideals, or maybe it's God's. We have to focus in on that, and nobody's perfect at that. And that's where natural faith. So that's kind of what that was a long answer. But, and Mike Young said, favorite story of faith is Esther, when Jesus arose. Easter, I'm sorry. My glasses. Easter, and when Jesus arose, and the faith we have now, when He said He will return, we just don't know or not sure, but He will. That's true. I mean, Jesus really kind of put it on us. He's like, hey, you're not going to know the hour. You're not going to know the time. But I'll come back for you. It's like, wow, that's extreme faith, And a lot of people would call people weird who said, well, you've never met Jesus. How do you know? And it's, how do you know the Bible is true? All this stuff. But he's like, you know what? I believe it because Jesus has changed my life. Yep. It's kind of like a best friend. You can really only trust your best friend. Mm-hmm. You don't trust people who you only kind of know. You can't do that.
You just walk up to a stranger and just like, hey, man, can you hold my bag for me, please?
Yeah.
I don't see how people can do that.
No, and that's the thing. Like, and it's not against that person, but I feel like, when trusting Jesus as our best friend to say, listen, you've said this, and I've known it to be true. I trust you. And I think that's a big trust thing. Like, would you hand Jesus your bag at an airport? I got to use the potty real fast, Jesus. Can you hold on to my luggage?
Hold on to my bag.
It's got my MacBook in it, got my iPad, it's got my charger, it's got my phone.
You lose any of that.
You lose any of that, like, I'm going to be in trouble. No. But would you trust Jesus, with that? And I think a lot of us would say yes, but at the same time, it's the same thing. Like, we have to believe what He said. And we're reading this book, the Bible, and it's like, that's faith. You have to read, but that's where the works comes in. It's and I think that we just hone ourselves in. I think we have to just be accountable with ourselves. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Jesus rising from the dead. And doing what He did was so fantastic. But we still struggle with our faith. Yeah. It's like the Hebrews. They were delivered from Egypt, and God did these plagues on the land, and God was like, hey, I'm with you, and he freed them through Moses, and wow, look at that, Moses' great works. And they see the Red Sea part, but still they lacked faith on the other side. And I think that's where the biggest turmoil is in the Christian community, even for myself. Sometimes when things get dark, I'm just like, how are we going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why why do our minds keep constantly going back to despair? That's a good question. I'm going to ask you.
Why does it keep going back to despair?
Yeah, like let's say God did something great in your life, but then a couple months down the road,
Something bad happens.
something bad happens.
You know what's funny? That's constantly happening right now, especially as a 23-year-old. Just like sometimes it's like you get really really good things, and then all of a sudden this one bad thing happens, and it trumps everything, that even the small things, the big things, it trumps all of the good stuff that's happened.
Right.
It's only because like it's at that point then you start to doubt, like, oh my gosh, like,
Right.
did any of that actually happen because of these things?
Right.
And I think we go back to despair because it's I think it's just like a normal feeling
Right.
that we can go back to. And like it's tough because you really have to have like 100% trust in God that even though that one bad thing happened to you, that he still has 10,000 good things for you.
Yeah.
And even if they're small, like you have to take pride in the small, you know, the small rewards that God gives you.
Right.
Whether it's, you know, like I don't know if he gives you, I don't know if he supplies a freaking cup of coffee for you that day
Right.
or something.
Right.
You know, you have to thank God for the little things.
Right.
You know, and I think even Craig said that he said you have to it was a I think it was something he said you have to have small faith in order to have big faith.
Right.
You know, in order for you to be able to believe for something big, you have to be able to believe for the small things
Right.
first. So, and so
That's a good point. I mean, and that's I feel like if you I like to put things into metaphors just because it's easy for me because my brain's obviously I can't do brain trivia. So teasers. But here's the thing, it's like when you're going up to bat, right?
mm-hmm.
And you hit that one out of the park. Whoa, wow. But it's only the beginning of the game. But now you're running, right? You're running, home run, you've scored a point. But now you know, okay, great job. Hey, great job, guys.
Yep.
You see the other team score. And you see other guys in front of you, or girls, fail. Oh, out. Maybe somebody hits a home run, but then out. Now the score is getting to be like, but your turn is coming back up. See, our natural instincts are go, well, I can't hit 2 home runs in a row. That's not realistic. Right? I think our minds go to a realistic aspect. Also, what we see is inherently what we're going to start believing. You see your buddy start striking out, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, well, what if I strike out? What if I'm the third person to strike out because we're the second one and I'm the next one up? Or what if I don't do this and it costs us the whole game? Or what if I do? The thing is going into that. And I think, and here's the thing, because then people would be like, well, I'm a realist. What if you go up to the plate and you have all the belief in the world, but you still fail and you don't hit the home run like you did before?
Mm-hmm.
This is where God says, at least you swung and you keep trying.
Yep.
Why is every instance going to be the same? Why every time I go up on hit a home run? First off, you're right. It's not realistic. But also, if everything was like that, life would be too easy. But not only that, but in this metaphor, let's say I fail and I struck out. I got a home run. Now my turn came up again and I struck out 3 times.
Yep.
But the third time says, well, I'm going to try my hardest again. I'm going to believe I can do it.
Just having that mindset of like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to do it.
And the third time I go up to bat, I hit a home run, but this time it's even further than last time. And I think that's what it's really about.
And you have players on the bases.
Yeah,
and
let's say, because God says I'm always going to excel you, but you have to understand that. Let's say I struck out 4 times in between those 2 home runs. But at least you go in there saying, you know what? I'm trying my hardest, and I believe that I can do it. Well, you're going to have the enemy on the other side trying to fool you. That's the other thing. Life is not always going to throw you right down the. I don't know why I'm doing baseball metaphor. Anyways, but life is not always going to throw it right down the center for you.
I got an easy football metaphor for you when you're done.
Okay, I want to hear it. And so that's where the play comes in, and I think that's where this is where we start to blame God. Well, God, you weren't there for me. He's like, you weren't reading what the enemy's trying to do to you. You're expecting that just going to throw it down straight downfield, or straight down the middle of the box, and you're going to hit it. Thing is we also can't be blind to what this is where David, he practiced and practiced and practiced and learned. He adapted and he stayed his mind focused and he achieved it. And I think that's really what life is. Listen, if I fail, well, heck, the next succeed that I'm going to do even greater. And I think that's great. But if I hit home runs all the time, same thing, right down the middle, over 400, let's say however many yards, every time it was exactly the same. It's not exciting, and you're not growing. I don't think you're growing at all. Then your body's gonna get in a habit, and now when something really critical happens, you're not gonna know what to do because your body's in a habit. And I think that's spiritually a case of growth.
I think sports would suck if the same team won every year.
Yeah.
Went like undefeated every year. I think that would be horrible.
Yeah, I mean, look at the underdogs. Look at Jonah. I mean, Jonah did absolutely the wrong thing. He tried to run away as far as he could, and he was almost dead. He was in the whale. He was almost dead.
Bro, what? I couldn't do that.
What?
That many days in a whale?
Listen,
Bro, I couldn't even do 30 seconds in a whale, bro. Let me out.
But here's the thing. It's true, but we're rooting for him to win. And the thing is, that story is only, and here's the thing. Let's say he followed God and he went, to Nineveh, straight from, it not as much of an epic story as it was. Now, I'm not saying go ahead and sin and run away from God, but God took his mistake and turned it into something positive. What was your football metaphor?
Oh, so no team fan base has as much faith in their team as the Dallas Cowboys.
It's true.
They have faith every year that they're going to Super Bowl.
Wow, okay, that's a good point.
It's true, though.
It is true.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Have faith like the Dallas Cowboys fan base. That's the quote.
That's a quote.
That's a tweet.
Because to be honest,
have faith like the Dallas Cowboys.
Now there is some ignorance in, like, let's say Cowboys gonna win because we're gonna mess all you up not negative talk, but he's talking about the faith as in we're going to Super Bowl this year, baby.
We're going back.
We're there. We're already there.
We the
boys. It's like it could be one. They could have one win and like 11 losses. We could make that wild card. Let's have that faith. That is true. Yeah. That's it right there. That's really good. Yeah.
You can't have that Dallas Cowboys faith.
I mean, what is it?
Come on, man.
I mean, listen. And
we're going to Super Bowl every year, baby.
Every year. And when it doesn't happen, next year, baby. Next year. I mean, that's good. That's pretty good. Man. And the thing is, whenever they try, they still believe. And they're like, you know what? We still them boys. We're still them boys. We're right here. They're still them. And if not anything, but now if and when I hate saying this, the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl again. Think about that fan base.
That is going to be a day.
They could never win again and they'd still have the same we them boys, we're gonna win. But when they win again, because I'm sure it's inevitable, that is going to pronounce a whole nother 1,000 years. Remember we won that Super Bowl back 2,000 years ago? Yeah, we the boys. That's it. I think that's really what it is. Jesus conquered death, and we just them boys and ladies saying, "Yo, my boy's coming back. My boy's coming back. Yeah, he's coming back again, boy. When? I don't know." So,
I don't know, but we there.
What if he doesn't come back and you die first? I'll see him then, and I'll come down with him, bro. Them boy. It's really good. That's a really good analogy. You need to clip that or something. Well, that's true. So extreme faith, that's really what it is. And here's the thing: we're not talking about as some people do with teams and being ignorant like that, but they're really just believing that their team will go. And I think that's with any sport, like anybody. If you're football, whatever, baseball, Yankees, you want them to win, but you still that year comes around again. You're like, all right, maybe we can do it this year. I remember when the Giants were really terrible. Eli Manning was getting sacked every single
They still
moment.
are.
Well, not as bad. Not as bad. They're doing a little bit better now.
They are doing better.
Yeah,
They won the top team
6-3. Yeah. So here's the thing.
Not 8-0 though.
Yeah, it's true.
Continue.
Eagles, go Eagles. Okay. So the thing is that, but every year I'm like, okay, maybe, yeah, okay. We need to have more extreme faith than that. Saying, you know what, we're just gonna keep on trying, keep pushing. That's what we're going to do. And I think that's really what it is. And whatever these analogies have helped people, or if you have another analogy, it's really cool too. This is the kind of faith we need to have, and check yourself, and that's what I do. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have extreme faith for this, but I need to get myself on the right track too. Because you see, sometimes, and here's one last thing, is that you see, David, that only happened to David because God knew David was ready.
Mm-hmm.
If David wasn't ready, God wouldn't have done that to him because he wasn't ready. That means that he would have been setting up David for failure. I think that we have to naturally prepare ourselves for miraculous faith, and God will keep delivering time and time again.
And the crazy thing is we set ourselves up for failure because we think we're ready for something, but God's like, nah, bro.
Nah. Yeah.
Nah.
He's like, I don't think you're ready for that yet.
Nope. And that's where the trials and tribulation portion comes to, because we're trying to do it ourselves and we're not doing it with God.
That's it. And I think, and I know it's easier said than done, a lot of these things, but, our lives, everybody's life is in turmoil at some point, but we encourage you to keep on pressing on, and also have that extreme faith to say, you know what, I don't know what the future holds, but I'm going to keep training myself in what I'm doing, and have that belief saying, you know what, no matter what comes, my faith is knowing that God is always constantly working in me and doing the best for me possible.
I mean, just like Craig said this past Sunday was, we got to do our part,
right,
in order for God to do his part.
Right.
So, I mean, it all depends on like what you think our part is.
Right.
See, like my part is just like making sure that I'm reading my Bible,
right,
praying, going to church, you
right,
know, believing that, just trusting in God that he's gonna, you know, trying my hardest not to sin, things like that.
And there's one because this is for my life. This is a good point. I was wanting something so bad in the past, like when I was younger, and I was like, oh, you have faith that God's going to do this for me. I just believe it. Yeah. Come to find out that when God was working through me, something miraculous happened to me. Not that thing that I wanted, but something miraculous happened in me that I'm like, whoa, this is great. And God took me from that point. That thing that I thought I wanted wasn't what I think I wanted at all. It was actually what happened to me in the process. And I think that's also true for people in faith. Like, you might not think that, but God's working in you, and something's gonna happen. Maybe the thing that you're believing for, and we're not talking about sicknesses, praying for people, of course, that's different, but something for your life that you think that you want for yourself, or different things. But God's like, you don't even know what I'm gonna do to you in the process, and build you up. And that's why that faith is what we always have to have with us. But I know it's almost time, but we appreciate you guys tuning in and talking about faith. Craig is also going to be going Just F It, right? Just
whole month.
The whole month. I like how that's our Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Just F It.
Just F it.
F stands for faith.
Does it?
It does. And he's going to keep going with that.
Does it?
What's that?
His
We
mind,
can't
does
speak for a man in his mind, but
True.
if we had to go by his fruits.
He did say he want his mind to. He wanted to move out of his mind. Said that in a sermon.
Yeah, I understand why. Spend a little more than 5 minutes with them. Kind of get the idea. Just kidding. No, and everybody be safe. I know by the time this comes out, subtropical Nicole or whatever's happening.
Yes, it's Hurricane Nicole at this point. That's what they called it.
Yeah, well, you know what? Everybody stay safe, and this storm is probably going to be a punk, and just, stay dry and have faith. And that's pretty much what we have to tell you. Until next
Just
time.
F it.
Just F it. And F stands for faith. And we'll see you guys next time on the Crossing Conversation.